Now let's start with this because I'm very very intrigued, and I would love to get your thoughts on this as well, considering kind of where we're at with gaming in general. Right? Apparently, it's in a very interesting spot, which also includes. I mean, look, we can talk about the American companies all we want. I mean, to be fair, some would make the argument that some of the Japanese companies have struggled because of the American or Westernized more influence, and that perhaps may be true. But
Mhm.
Bandai Namco is cutting a bunch of jobs. If you guys do not know or have not heard about this, and this is pretty intriguing. Of course, coming from Bloomberg, Bandai Namco Holdings is cutting its workforce after canceling several titles in the latest sign that rising costs and plateauing demand are depressing the gaming industry's bottom lines. Tokyo-based company is taking a traditionally Japanese approach to reducing staff by sending workers to rooms where they are given nothing to do but putting pressure on them to leave voluntarily. There has to be something like, what can they not fire them? Like there must be something. I don't look. It's not like I'm familiar with Japanese. That's crazy. By the way, I'm not. I don't understand Japanese law, so that must be something like they can't can them. So it's like, okay, we're gonna put you in this condition and have you sit in basically a wall, maybe put on a straight jacket or something, and we'll you're gonna want to quit after it because that's a little interesting that they're forcing them or trying to. Obviously, I mean that can also apply to American companies as well. In certain states with actually firing someone versus them leaving voluntarily and the tax benefits that are associated with that. Since April, affiliate Bandai Namco Studios has moved about 200 of its roughly 1,300 employees to such rooms, and 100 have, or nearly 100 have resigned. So the other 100 is like, nah, I'm sticking this shit out. Send more. Said the people asking not to be named, discussing private information. More are expected to leave in the coming months. These are called expulsion rooms, sometimes used by Japanese corporations in a country with some of the world's strictest labor protection laws. So that's what it is, right?
Uh-huh.
Employees are typically given no work-related task, but are left with the knowledge that their performance will give managers ammunition to cut severance. So yeah, that's all this is. It's just legal stuff pertaining to tax and severance and all that. Many employees use their time in such rooms to look for other jobs. The company's share slid as much as 1.2% in Tokyo Wednesday, but Namco said its goal is to not push employees out of the company. Well, what's the point of the
Well,
rooms then?
well, that's bollocks.
Our decisions to discontinue games or to discontinue games are based on comprehensive assessments of the situation. Some employees may need to wait a certain amount of time before they are assigned the next project. Oh, so they don't have nothing for you to do. But we move forward with assignments as new projects emerge. Representative of Bandai Namco.
How can Bandai Namco not have any projects on the go? This is so right. Just imagine what you could do with the Soul Calibur franchise alone. Never mind put out a great, sexy Soul Calibur fighter. People would eat that up. They always do. You've got Sword Art Online, massive franchise there. You've got they publish the Dark Souls games, don't they? FromSoft make them.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're correct. I think you're correct.
Yeah,
they publish them. Yeah. I think you're correct. Yes.
So they publish the Dark Souls games as well. Okay, that's
and they just had, unless I thought, well, unless maybe this was overstated, but with Sparking Zero, right? That apparently was this massive hit. Right now, I haven't seen anything regarding the actual numbers, but at least people that are playing it are loving it. So I'm not sure.
That aren't they the company also behind Unknown 9 Awakening, which is a Sweet Baby?
Yes, that is correct.
Hasn't Sweet Baby Inc. got a lot to do with that game as well?
Yes, they are behind Unknown.
What a shocker!
They are
shocker.
They are behind. That is very true.
That is insane. That is
I don't really
insane.
know.
You've got One Piece, haven't they? Not One Piece as well.
They have a lot, dude. So I'm not sure. where the, I mean, Tekken as well, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where the lack of projects are coming from, but either way, they're cutting staff, which again, I don't know if this speaks to the, and I guess that's what I wanted to talk about, because I don't know if this is speaking to the entire industry, an industry-wide problem, right? When even the ones that, because I mean, you expect some of these other companies that have made these adjustments to have the struggles that they're having, but you know,
hack as well. Sorry,
well, yeah, that also,
I'm just
yeah, but you know, and if I'm wrong on this, maybe people that have, I guess, a little more internal knowledge on the situation know something that I don't know. But from what I understand, Bandai, at least we were under the impression that they are doing better of the companies per se. Okay,
yeah.
so I'm not exactly sure where this is coming from that they're having to cut back on all these jobs because there are, I guess, issues. So are we dealing with, and I guess that's a question for the chat, as a question for Az, are we really on the brink of a crash?
Yeah.
Like another video game crash?
Well, yeah, I mean, the West is already crashing. It's in flames. The Western gaming industry is in absolute flames right now. I did a video a couple of days back on my channel about ESG DIE is the killer of merit, and I did this example where if you're hiring 20 people based off merit, right? Now that 20 people could be 20 white guys, could be 20 black guys, could be 20 fucking trans people. It doesn't matter. If you've got 20 people who are there based off merit, your company is going to do the best that it possibly can, right? You're giving your company the best chance that you can. You know, if we can just cut the bullshit out, we know that inclusion means non-white, means diversity means non-white, right?
Particularly non-white men.
Yeah, typically white men. So if you's like, okay, we've got too many white guys at our company, you create terms like toxic work culture, frat boy culture. You start to create all these fucking buzz terms in these companies, and then you say we need to diversify our company. By diversify, less white people, even if they're there on merit, less white people. The people who are there know what they're doing. That's why the company's been fucking successful in the first place. And then they go, right, so we need to get rid of some of these, or we need to, if we're increasing, we need to add diversity. And if you're doing it based off DIE and ESG, and the top 5 people on your resumes are all white dudes, they're the top qualified, you got to immediately push them to one side to get to the diversity that you want.
Right.
Immediately, you've harmed your company. You've harmed it right there. And then the more people that come in based off that system, the more good people get either pushed out, left behind, or end up taking the slack within the company and getting sick and tired of it. Yeah. Why should I, increase my fucking workload? Why should I be the one who's having to do more work because this person isn't trained enough? They're having to go through more training. They're having to go through, they don't pick up the systems well enough to bring in fucking terrible ideas, or they're not programming correctly. They're making mistakes. We're having to correct those. Timescales get. Why should I do that? I'll go off and either start my own fucking company, or join another startup, or join a company that doesn't have this ethos at that time, and then they'll go and they'll be replaced by more inclusion and diversity.
But to echo that sentiment, I mean, again, what we're seeing with the adjustments that are being made by even the Japanese companies that have, more or less, some of it have invited at least that influence that's there, that Western influence. That unfortunately has impacted their own businesses. We know what's happened with Square Enix. I think that's probably the most, if not a prime example of that. That's that. And again, we're seeing that even some of the better companies that we think, at least financially, how you feel about the games, that's neither here nor there. At least financially, we assumed that Bandai Namco was never in trouble. Yet here we are. With them talking about ending X amount of jobs. So they're clearly having some sort of issues. And again, is it an industry-wide thing? And I think it's all a domino, right? It's like one issue leads into another, and it always catches up, right? It's not one of those things that you see happens immediately, right? We've been dealing with some of this DIE crap for at least this heavy push has been almost a decade, right? And
Mhm.
so it's almost like a lagging indicator. It just takes a little bit for it to get to where it's at now, to where, yeah, you have the ones that you expect, consequences of their own actions. Ubisoft's, you kind of anticipate that, but then you have the Bandai Namco's and what's happening with them, and so it's almost creating like an industry-wide problem. And that's not to say that, because you brought up some other stuff, like you brought up some of the monetization efforts, like
Yeah,
it's
time.
multiple aspects
Yes.
of that are impacting it. But to act like DIE and that heavy push is just completely like, and that's what that's what they're gonna do, right? Let's assume that we do get another crash, right?
Mhm.
You know they're gonna point to everything else. They're gonna say that there's all these financial woes because of this, and that. Mainstream wise, they wouldn't dare mention the push for hiring people based on everything except whether or not they can produce a solid video game.
Oh, good news. Gamers don't give a fuck.
True.
Yeah, gamers don't give a fuck about your excuses, right?
Yeah.
Gamers aren't going to start going, "Oh my god, do you know what? I need to mortgage my house so I can raise some funds to keep billion-dollar corporation going that's fucked itself in the ass." Yeah? They'll go, "Oh well, never mind. It was a nice run. Right, where can I put my money next? Which company is actually doing shit that I like?"
Thanks for watching. Be sure to head over to Rippaverse.com to check out our comic book company. We have books, plenty of merchandise, and even some glorious animations from Rippaverse Studios.